Hey guys, it is me, Raheem D, and today I'm going to be showing you how I create my mashups. A lot of people have been asking me to create another tutorial ever since my Audacity tutorial. I've been using Ableton for the past 3 years and it has been a really great program and it's opened me up to a lot of other possibilities when it comes to creating music. For time's sake, I'm going to assume that you know the basics of music and mashups and maybe somewhat using Ableton. We will be covering how to get songs in key, how to get songs in sync with each other, and overall how to make songs sound professional together. I wanted to make this tutorial as interactive as possible, so for anyone that would like to make a mashup with me, I have put all of the material in a zip file in the description of this YouTube video. So if you download that, you can actually make this mashup with me as I go along. The only things that are not included in the zip file are the actual original songs because of copyright reasons. But now that's all cleared up, let's get this show on the road and get this mashup tutorial going. This is the first page that you normally see when you open up Ableton. But what we need to do is switch from this view, which is the session view, and switch it to the arrangement view, which is the top right button over there. Okay, so this is basically where you will import your songs in the audio track list, except from MIDI. Don't put it in MIDI, I delete those. But anyways, yeah. So what we need to do is import our first song, which will be included in the mashup. So if I open up my best party song ever material folder, I will include Neo's Let Me Love You Till You Learn to Love Yourself instrumental, and just drag it in and it will just do that automatically. So the first thing we need to do is get this song in sync with Ableton's project BPM, which is basically the tempo of how fast the song is and how fast you want the mashup to be. So if we look down here, the warp effect is basically Ableton's way of calculating how fast the song is. Now normally Ableton is absolutely terrible at guessing the correct BPM, so what I tend to do is either go online and try and find the correct BPM of a song just by typing in, I don't know, Neo Let Me Love You Until You Learn to Love Yourself BPM, or I use Virtual DJ, which is a lot faster for me. I've already opened it. It's a free program. What you basically do is you just drag the song onto this like disk thing and it will calculate the correct BPM, which is 125 BPM. So if you minimize that, the first thing that I tend to do is change this complex button and change it to complex pro. We'll basically get into that later, but it's to do with the song's key and how it sounds when you change the key. But right now we need to get the song into its correct BPM. So the first thing I tend to do is search for the first bass drop within the song, the first time where it really just kicks in. So if we just listen to it, that is kind of a good place for like when the first part of the verse comes in, or the first part of like the chorus. Normally the chorus is the best part to go by. You can kind of tell by the wave formations that this is like a great place for when the beat kicks in. These little gray things here are normally like guesses of when the bass kicks in, like a good place to start, but I'll just go in by myself and double click, and then you can create your own little mark here, and that's where you want the bass to start. So what I tend to do is right click and then put set 1.1 here, and Ableton will start the song at that bass drop. Now if we unminimize or zoom out, there will be another yellow one, which is just from the start of the song. What I tend to do is double click that and get rid of it, and then have this one, and then sometimes you might want to double click it again just to make sure, and then change it to 125 BPM, and then that is the correct BPM. So if we play this back just to make sure that it is completely in sync, get the metronome, and then play it. And as you can hear, the metronome is in time with the song, which means they're both in sync with each other. And as you can tell here, these lines are measurements of beats, or bars, I should say. So each bar, there's the start of the song. So it helps it, just be in time and in sync when you start to edit the song. You now have the choice of changing the BPM of the song. You can make that really fast. Up here in the top left, this is the whole project BPM. Make all the songs 135 BPM. You can really slow it down, just like 15 BPM. But what we'll do is put it to 125 now, which is the original BPM of Neo's song. So once we're happy that the song is in sync with the project, what we can do is drag it forward within the project and then get the rest of the song back, which we lost when we tried to get the bass drop. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is get the acapella of Neo's Let Me Love You Until You Learn to Love Yourself in sync as well with the project. Now this can be a little bit tricky because with the instrumental, we were able to get that in sync because we had a bass drop. But whereas with acapellas, it's kind of hard to do that because obviously there isn't a bass drop because it's just vocals. My best bet of doing this, and as you can see here, Ableton has a lot of trouble trying to calculate what the correct BPM of a vocal is. And this is a studio acapella as well, so it's even harder. What I tend to do is double click that and it will get rid of all of the yellow triangle things, and it will go to the project BPM, which is 125, which is also the same BPM as the instrumental. Best way of getting the vocals in time is to get the original song, which is the vocals and the instrumental, and chuck that in as well. Sometimes this can be a bit of a pain as well because obviously you have to get 3 tracks in sync, but luckily you already know where the bass drop is for the song, so it should be slightly easier. So we click solo, and we've already double clicked the warp mode to get rid of all the yellow triangles. I would say around there, double click there, and then zoom out. It doesn't really matter if you double click this before or after. You right click the one that you chose and put set 1.1 here. Sounds like it's in time with the metronome, so that's good. If you zoom in here, it's a little bit ahead. That's where the bass drops, and this is where the bar actually starts. So if I zoom back in onto the actual song and then maybe go here, it's a bit of trial and error. You just need to keep working on it until you can get it right, and that looks to me like it's perfect. So if you play that. What I like to do is play from the start of the song, play from the middle, and then play to the end just to see. So that's in time, and it's the end in time. It is. So now that the instrumental and the original songs are both in sync, the thing that we need to do now is get the acapella, which is studio acapella, so it's really hard. So what we need to do is, I tend to go for the quietest part within the song, which seems to be the intro, and find when Neo starts to sing. Much as you blame yourself. Yep. And then I'll move this forward within the project to try and sync it up. As you can see, the waveforms are very slightly similar. This is slightly louder, so I'll turn it down a bit. Best way to do this is to go to options, and where it has a tick next to snap to grid, undo snap to grid, and then just try and line it up to the point where it really looks similar. Now what I tend to do is click Control and then have both of them on solo, so Control and then click, and then both of them will be just playing and the instrumental will be not playing. Much as you blame yourself, you can be blamed for the way that you feel. That sounds very, very, very close. You can go in a bit more, but you know, just for time's sake, I'll say that's about right. So then you go into options and then you put snap to grid back on, and now you have your acapella in time. So there you go. And now all of the tracks, the instrumental and the acapella and even the original song, are in sync with the project BPM. Okay, so that's basically how you get all of the songs in sync with each other. Now, obviously there's a lot more tracks here that we need to get into time. So if you'd like to get all of those into time, we'll come back and then we'll get all these songs into key. Okay, so now I've imported all of the tracks into Ableton just to save time. They're all in sync with each other, and this is basically how yours should look. I've minimized the original tracks just so that we have a little bit more space and it doesn't get too confusing, but all of these are instrumentals and acapellas. So now that we have all of the tracks in sync, what we need to do now is get them into key with each other. All songs have their own key, so you basically need to make sure that they're all within the same key. Otherwise they'll end up sounding out of key and it'll sound really bad. For example, just like this. If I play these two songs real quick, they will sound absolutely terrible together. As you can hear there, it sounds really, really out of key. So what you need to do is find the original key of each song. Now, the best way to do this is either to go onto their Wikipedia page, which I have here, which is Neo's Let Me Love You, and under the writing and productions section, it says the chord progression is F major. So that means that Neo's song is in F major. Now what we need to do is find the key for One Direction's Best Song Ever. And the next place you can go to is karaokeversion.co.uk. What they tend to do is give you the original information for the original song. So the original tempo for One Direction's song was 118.5 BPM, and the key here is D minor. So now we know that One Direction's song is D minor and Neo's song is F major. So now what do we do? This is basically a list of keys and how far apart each key is from each other. So, for example, Neo's song, Let Me Love You, is F. And like we said before, One Direction's song, Best Song Ever, is D minor. So if we look at this list, which is basically like this, it's C major, C sharp and D minor are together, D major, and then D sharp and E minor are together, and then E major, F major, F sharp and G minor together, and so on. So like we said, Neo's song is F and One Direction's song is D minor. So that basically means that there is a 1 semitone, 2 semitone, 3 semitone, 4 semitone difference. So there's a 4 key difference between Neo's song Let Me Love You and One Direction's song Best Song Ever. So then what you would do is go here into Ableton and you would pitch down Neo's song 4 semitones, because then it will be D minor, just like One Direction's song. But I also find here, this is Detune, pitching this up by about 6 cents. The Detune cents bit is basically just fine-tuning it so it sounds completely right. Now what I tend to find is that it's either 6 cents that you need to put it up by, or 12, or sometimes, but rarely, 24 cents, and then they will sound like legit on key. But if we play the instrumental of Neo's Let Me Love You and Best Song Ever instrumental, let's play it and it should sound good together. I also find that it does sound a little out of key here as well. So what I'll do is I'll put the One Direction song up by 12 and it should sound a little bit better. But if we play that back. And that sounds a little bit better. But my only problem with this is the fact that 4 key differences or 4 semitone difference is quite a lot to put onto just one song. Sometimes I feel like the best way to do these things is to half the difference between each song. Otherwise people don't really tend to like the difference in key change. So what I would do is change Neo's song and put it up to -2 semitones, put Best Song Ever up to 2 semitones. So then they'll meet in the middle. And now they sound quite good together and it doesn't sound like Neo's song is obviously pitched. So now both songs are at the relative key of D sharp. So D sharp will be the main key that we're trying to get every song into, will be D sharp. So now that we know that the main project key that we want to go with is D sharp, we need to make sure that every other song in this mashup is D sharp. Now, for example, Rihanna's song here is actually C minor. If you look at this key table here, C minor is nowhere to be found. We have C major and we have C sharp, but we don't have a C minor. That is because C minor is actually equivalent to D sharp. If you go on to www.encore.co.uk, they will have a reference grid in the top right and it will tell you which list of keys are equivalent to each other. This is also the same for Selena Gomez's song Slowed Down, which we also have in the mix, which is actually C sharp minor, and that is equivalent to E. And as you can see here, C sharp minor isn't on here either. So if it's equivalent to E, it means that it probably has to go down 1 semitone. So that is definitely how you get songs in key. So if you need any other help with that, I'll put all the links and stuff in the description below, maybe with a file with the key grid here as well to help you out. But what I've also done with the files in the description of this video, I've put the keys of each song and the tempo of each song on the song files. But I haven't done it with every track because then I also want you to have a look around and try and find the correct key, and then, you know, input them yourself, because that's what you'll be doing when you do it on your own. So hopefully that will help you guys out.